It's a jungle out there. Anybody else watch Monk? Disorder and confusion everywhere. Oh, child. There's a lot going on right now. I got on a sweater, got on a headband, big earrings, afro out. It's a lot. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Whatcha Readin with Athena. Before we continue and go any further, I wanted to take a moment of silence for Natalie Desselle Reid. I just found out that she passed away, an iconic, brilliant comedic actress. She starred in Baps. She starred alongside Eve in their sitcom as her best friend. She was hilarious and brilliant, and I was so sad to hear that she passed. So I definitely wanted to make sure I took a moment to acknowledge her. So other than that, coronavirus still acting the fool out here, but we ain't gonna talk about it. I'm done talking about it. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into why I showed up black as hell today. So I just was like, no, we're just gonna let the fro be out. We're just gonna let some things happen. And the reason why I'm coming at you in this spirit of Afrocentrism is because of this book right here. So I have been reading, or I just finished reading, The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. This book is a whole fool. It's a whole mess. And let's get into why. So this book, it centers around the Vignette twins. Vignette twins. Again, so I've been reading this whole damn book without really knowing how to say this. Now, these girls are probably of French descent, and I'm going to go with the word, you know how they say a vignette? A vignette? So I'm going with vignette. If it's wrong, I don't care. The Vignette sisters are born in this weird-ass town called Mallard. It's right outside of Louisiana or New Orleans. Same thing? Different thing? Not sure. But it's right outside of Louisiana. And this town of Mallard has become the butthole of colorism, if you will. Like the little puckered part of the butt. Like that's Mallard. It's right in there. This town is fully, if you could believe it, I'm getting real comfortable with y'all because this is a whole bunch of shit. It's a whole bunch of stuff we got to get into. This town is full of people who have become lighter and lighter as the generations have gone on. So this town was founded with the ideal that they wouldn't let any dark-skinned Black people into the town. Okay, thus keeping them very light. And as we know from hashtag slavery, lighter is better, right? So these people are so light, they can kind of pass for white, though they don't. It seems like they still acknowledge that they are Black, but they're the better Blacks because they're not dark. Okay? Feeling some problems here? Feeling some heat rising up in you? Yeah, that's Mallard. And so this family is in there. These two twins are born, and these twins are dying to get out. They really want to leave. One is just kind of like adventurous. Her name is Desiree. And the other one just wants more opportunities. She wants more freedom. So they're wanting to leave for different reasons, but whatever the hell it is, they both want to break it out. So they leave. In the middle of the night, early in the morning, whatever it is, they pack and they leave. They don't tell their mom where they're going. They tell no one in the town. They are just literally up and gone. So, the whole town is like, you know, small towns. They're like, oh, them girls left. Oh, we don't even know. They ain't tell their mama nothing. It's just whispering. It's this whole conspiracy for so long. Desiree comes back to town, and she comes back to town with her super Black. I mean, they make it. Brit Bennett writes, I didn't know there was so many adjectives, so many synonyms for Black. They done called the baby charcoal. They done called the baby tar baby. They done called this child everything to do with being blue Black. They said she was blue Black, she was purple Black. They've been calling her some of everything in this book, which is insane. But she comes back, Desiree, the super light lady, comes back with this very dark child. So they're like, where you been? You need to tell us what's going on, all right? And so that's kind of what opens up the book, and it gets amazing from there. It goes on. Now, let me say, before we get into these sisters, this is one of the most beautifully written books that I've ever read. The writing is really exceptional. This book made me never want to write again. And I say that as like the utmost compliment, because you ever hear, whatever your craft is, right? You sitting wherever you are. If you're like, oh, I'm an accountant, or oh, I'm a writer, I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, there has been that person that you see do their thing and you're like, because it's that good. And the way she just describes things and the emotions and, oh, you knew it was gonna come. Like, this is like Toni Morrison's type. And so in my lexicon, it's like Maya Angelou, like Toni Morrison is like right here. Those are my top two. So if I say you're Maya, you're out of this world. You're Maya, okay? If I say you're Toni, you are like touching the hem of Jesus's cloth. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are there with writing. There. I'm getting hyped because she's such a freaking good writer. Ugh, she's so good. It makes me upset. Anyway, so if you just want to read beautiful writing and have a story told to you in the most perfect way it can be told, read the book. What was I saying? Desiree comes back with this black baby, and shenanigans ensue. Of course, the town isn't like, oh, look at your beautiful black baby. It's a mess. So we find out, I don't want to give spoilers. I'm trying to work on that. Not giving spoilers or whatever, but throughout the story, we find out why Desiree has returned back to Mallard and who this baby is and who this baby daddy is and what happened. So we find that out throughout the story. On the other side, it's this whole, we find out that her and Stella, obviously she didn't come back with Stella. So her and Stella have parted ways at some point. And we don't know for the first like couple chapters where the hell Stella is. Eventually we get to Stella's part of the story and we find out that Stella had took off to live a whole nother life as a white woman, because remember, she was light enough. She was light enough to pass. She wanted more experiences. She struck out when Desiree and her left. They lived together for a little bit, but then she just took off in the middle of the night on Desiree. So pretty much the same thing that they did together with their mama, Stella ended up doing just to Desiree. Just left a note pretty much saying, I had to leave. And so Desiree doesn't even know where she is, has no clue. So we get to Stella and we follow her kind of arc and what she's been going through as well. She's been passing for white. She's been living a completely and entirely white life with a white husband and a blonde hair, blue-eyed daughter as well. What Brit Bennett does is not only tells the story from Stella and Desiree's point of view, but she goes and she tells it from their daughter's point of view. So we're seeing like the generational effects of what is it like to be a child of a mother who doesn't love themselves, love where they came from, you know, and kind of how does that affect the child? How does that affect the mom? It was, these kids really wanted to just know who they were. They were searching for truth. They were searching for themselves. And another thing that this story really, really kind of pulls and picks apart is suffering. Everyone is trying to free themselves from some identity that was forced onto them and lean more into the identity that they want. So both of these girls feel like they were born in a place that was not meant for them, that didn't accept them, understand them, or allow them the proper room to grow. And so they're trying to find places that allow them to do that. But as we all know, the grass is not always greener on the other side. So when you go and you try to chase after this other life, you're going to get some of the things that you want, but you're also going to get a lot of muck, a lot of messiness, a lot of crap that goes along with that. And so while we're seeing these two girls who struck out on their own, and it should be this sort of brave story, these two girls taken out, taken off in the middle of the night to find themselves. It's tough. It's a jungle out there. Anybody else watch Monk? Disorder and confusion everywhere. One thing that I really need to talk about is the relationship between Jude, who is Desiree's daughter, and her boyfriend, Reese. They really allow each other to be themselves through their honesty, which is something that we are missing throughout this entire story. Everybody's lying. Everybody has some secret or something that they're holding close to their chest. And to have these two just be so fully out in themselves and just accepting without any, like, the friction that they have or the arguments they get into are, like, for that long, a little blip, something that would usually implode other relationships. It's like they're like, I did that. I was tripping. Yeah, I felt like you were tripping. We good? We good. And they just move on. Mask less. I think my biggest takeaway is that you can create the person that you want to be without denying where you come from. And I think it's more honorable. I think it's a bigger lift to find success and happiness in whatever perceived adversity that you come from. So, there. Also, honorable mention to my dude, Blake. So Blake is Stella's husband. Unbothered level 1000 mastery is this man. Like, oblivious husband of the year award goes to husband Blake. You'll have to read to find out if they reconnect, if they stay on their separate sides of the world, or what happens from there. I'm toying with not telling the whole book. It's really hard for me because I get excited about books and I want to tell everybody everything. But read this book, Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. Do you see all this? This is number 2. This is, out of all the books, I read about 20 books this year. Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett is number 2 on my list. This is a phenomenal book. Without further ado, we're gonna introduce the next book that I'm reading, and it is, drumroll please, Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. So this book is another one that kind of jumped into my frame of vision from Reese Witherspoon's book club. Chose this as, I believe, one of their book club reads. Yeah, it has a little sticker. And so I was like, ooh, this looks good. Of course, the author is Blackly Black. Very happy with that. And I was like, this seems like a lot more of what I want. A lot of the books that I read in the past and that have come out, especially this year or recently, always tackle some like huge issue with like race and identity or injustice or mass incarceration. So I wanted a book that was about a Black experience instead of the Black experience. Yeah, this seemed like it was it. Hopefully. I'm saying this, I could be fully wrong because y'all know I don't read these before I choose them as my next books. So I'm going to read a little bit about it to you. So here we go. Give me my dramatic stuff. Okay, good. Alex Chamberlain is a woman who gets what she wants and has made a living with her confidence-driven brand, showing other women how to do the same. So she is shocked when her babysitter, Amira Tucker, is confronted while watching the Chamberlains' toddler one night, walking the aisles of their local high-end supermarket. It's probably a Trader Joe's. The store's security guard, seeing a young Black woman out late with a white child, accuses Amira of kidnapping 2-year-old Briar. They chose like the whitest name possible. Briar. A small crowd gathers. A bystander films everything, and Amira is furious and humiliated. Alex resolves to make things right. So, right off the bat, like, I don't know how she gonna make this right. Is that's embarrassing. Could you imagine? Like, I used to get embarrassed because both my kids are lighter than me. And not with my daughter, but my son specifically. He's half Puerto Rican. So people used to always, he looked like aggressively Hispanic when he was younger. Like, it was just, he would just like, mira, eh. He looked like that. And people used to always look at me, you see me, and be like, why is she with this little Hispanic child? He's gotten Zorka as he's gotten older, but it used to be so embarrassing when people would be like, oh, are you his cousin? Or are you his babysitter or something like that? And like, that's my kid. So I can only imagine for her if she's out babysitting this kid and gets accused of kidnapping the child. Like, who out here kidnapping white children like this? I mean, it's usually other white people. It's not usually black people. Just gonna tell you that. So you got some things to explain in here, folks. So we'll see. Seems like a good basis for a book. I want to see how this plays out. And I'll be able to report back to y'all. So as usual, if you read the book, drop a comment. Tell me what you thought of it. What was your take? Were you feeling it? Were you like, Were you like, no? Tell me. And we can talk a little bit about it. Hopefully I'll be finished with this in 2 weeks because this is not supposed to be my last book of the year. I'm going to try to finish it fast because I do have one last book choice of my all black everything year that I have to finish. So I literally got 3 weeks to finish 2 books. Pray for your girl. All right? So I'm going to get to reading this so I can check back in with y'all in hopefully less than 2 weeks because I got deadlines. I might as well. I'm going to just start reading now. I don't have any time to waste. Bye. Bye. See you. Bye.